Become an advanced meditator, accepting the or our dark side, darkness. The or our, because whatever it's outside in the universe, right, all those dark beings are just a mirror of what we have within, the duality of the yin and yang. So the dark side is service to self, right? And to ascend to service to self, apparently, it's very hard. We need to be 95% service to self in the third density to ascend into the fourth density service to self. So in the contact of raw love one, they explained that only like in the past, like two or three people, famous people were able to ascend. It was this famous like black magic Russian guy, I forgot his name. Also a Chinese emperor that killed like millions of people and raped like thousands of women. Apparently, there's like more than 30 million people on Earth now that are part of his ascendant or something like that. And even Hitler was not able to ascend to service to self. They explained this in the Love One. So, but everything in the dark side, service to self, we can see it and experience it here on Earth, because on Earth we see the depth of the duality, right? And so like there's gonna be like the reptilian, they're the most famous here, and the fourth density negative, and then the fifth density negative, it's like they're very secretive, and then in the sixth density negative, they're kind of like one big being that control. It's like a pyramid. That's how the dark side works. Exactly on Earth, like corporations and things like that. And basically like this big being on the Orient Empire, the sixth density, is controlling through mind, through thoughts, the beings in the fifth density, and then they're not aware of it. And then the beings in the fifth density are controlling through thoughts, the beings of the fourth density, and then the beings of fourth density, like reptilians, are controlling through thoughts. The the humans are living below 200 on the map of consciousness, basically living out of negativity, self-absorbed ego. So that main dark being on top of the sixth density, it's like a light being. It's not really like we cannot really put a shape into it, but it's some kind of like big dark shadow. But it can be very similar to some type of like Dark Vader that is just able to move energy through his mind. Very, very powerful. And the Anunnakis. So there's this new channel and movie. There's three movies of 2 hours. I watched them all. It's kind of interesting. It's a very nice summary of this book called The Lost Book of Enki, one of the two brothers, and it's part of one of the theories of the creation of humanity. I feel that it's not all it though. So we need to get information from different source, like the ancient secret of the flower of life has his own take on that. He's talking about Zechariah Sitchin, which is the guy that channeled this book. And also we have Matthias de Stefano that is has his own take on that. So there's different theories. They're not all aligning perfectly, but there's some points that come back. So it's interesting to watch this, but like be aware that there's a lot of distortion for sure. One thing for sure is when I watched this, is I realized that those Anunnakis have can have very good intention. They're not like, oh, I'm gonna kill and control people and things like that. They had very good intention to come on Earth. It was to save their planet, and they needed that goal, and they really tried to find that best solution to dig that goal. And even the relationship between all of them that looked like a pyramid, because there was like one king of the planet and then the two brothers, and then after that it looks very like a pyramid structure, um, uh, this kind of like species, how it's managed, and so it shows that it's part of the dark side. But as I said, it's not like dark side controlling, killing. It's more like ego centered being, but with other type of abilities because they live in higher densities. So they were living like in average apparently 360,000 years, which is very hard for us to comprehend, right? And their planet, Nibiru, is rotating, passing through the Earth every 3,600 years. So there's a whole theory of that. Apparently, their planet is coming from the Sirius star system, but the Sirius star system was um, at all the planets were able to ascend into the service to others. So it kind of like bounced back their planet that was service to self, and it's called the 12th planet of our solar system because it passed through Earth, and there's so much things. So I explored that. So yeah, like we all have all those things inside of us as humanity. There's this movie just coming up. People are talking a lot about it, Sound of Freedom, that shows this industry, right? This of kidnapping children and then selling children, and then apparently they just put children into like cave or whatever it is, and then they make sure that the children, they're having a lot of fear of death, and then apparently this it release a chemical that is similar to adrenaline, and then they are feeding themselves out of that. So it's super dark, and I heard about this before too. It's like they're feeding themselves out of this life force through the blood or through the energy of it. So somehow it's like they're so deep into the dark side that it's the only way that they can kind of like eat or feed themselves. There's theories also that Earth is a dark energy farm, right? So that's why they create so much dark drama, movies or series or the news. Each time we watch that, we release so much dark energy because we're giving by watching those type of movies, we are giving energy to the dark side. The only way to counter everything that is happening in the dark side is not to start talking about it, start like, like putting it out there, say, hey, this is wrong and things like that. It's more about teaching people how to open their heart, and then naturally they're going to connect with the truth, with their soul, and so on. So that's why I really rarely talk about the dark side on my Instagram. I've been doing this talk. I'm gonna feel it. I'm gonna have to like center myself after this. So the reptilians, that's super nice photo, no? So it's an empire for sure. I'm not sure where they come from, but you're gonna have experience for yourself in this vortex here. And I wasn't sure when I had this idea of doing this type of vortex, but in the end, it turned out like super cool. I really loved it. It was one of my favorite one. I never redo it because the music is, it's like dark music, like it's like heavy metal. It's also combined with the Star Wars Darth Vader music and things like that. But it was so interesting, and I had like a lot of energy after, but never different type of energy. But as a whole, like it was like really understanding the my dark side and accepting it, that it's okay to like do some stupid things sometimes, what we consider stupid, like whatever it is, like go on a rave and then maybe like do drugs or whatever you feel like doing, that you're like, oh no, I'm a spiritual person, I cannot do that. Well, it's okay here and there, right? But like it's the depth is really understanding that your dark side shouldn't be running the show. It's more about that. It's acknowledging that everything, all experiences are fine. It's only the human mind that categorize. Okay, this is dark, this is light, and the soul plane. There's it's just all different experience, and then for our life, we just need to realize. Okay, like, is this overtaking my life? Is it controlling me? Is it who's running the show here? Is it the ego that wants to inflate itself all the time? And so that's the type of question we need to ask ourselves. The reptilian, they don't really look like that. In my experience, they look more like this. I had an experience in connecting with my reptilian life, and very surprised when this happened. I went into a burnout. I was like, "What's going on with me? I'm going crazy." So his name is Naki, and it's me apparently. Yeah, well, it is. And I can feel his energy sometimes within me, and then I can feel like that rage. What I experience is that they're born in a pound, like a alligator or something like that, and like thousands of eggs, and then they remove the eggs from the mother. So like so when they're born, they're already competing with each other, and the foundation of their emotion is anger, and through this it's like separation, competition, and then all kind of like manipulation, all those things that we know from the ego here on earth. But there it's like push next level. So what you're gonna experience in this vortex is like we're gonna go in a cave and uh, passing through the Antarctica, and then right away it's like a big town that is under Earth, and then there's no light. It's in the dark. It feels like a dark movie where like they have raves and things like that. And we end up partying with the Reptilian. And so it was very surprising. And it felt like that, where like everyone is going like just releasing so much of their pain. Like somehow it's like they're trying their best. They're having a lot of fun, they're cracking joke, but they're in their back of their head, they're always like, "Oh, I don't trust you," or like they're always like protecting themselves, they don't know. And so it's always like you're on your own cocoon. As I said, we can feel the depth of the dark side of the universe here on Earth, right? With those dark triad personalities, like manipulative, self-interest, domineering. So that's Machiavellic. Narcissism is like grandiosity, perceived superiority, superiority, entitlement. So it's like everything I do is to convince others to come on my boat, to fill my own ego, right? So it's like can be like entrepreneurs and things like that. And me, I felt some layers of deep narcissism back in the days when I had my company. I was like convincing people to come on board, and always negotiating on like not really like paying them, and then all kind of techniques to really like build a big team, and then all this to inflate my ego to become like the entrepreneur of the year and all those things, until like all this fell apart when I felt massively, and then my ego kind of like died after that. And then I reversed from an hyperactive solar plexus that is taking energy from others to it became completely closed, like lack of self-esteem and things like that. And so we all have like different level of that. And there's a personality test called the dark triad, and that allow you to see what is your level of narcissist. Because yeah, it's all in us. We just need to be aware of it, right? And then more that we open our heart, more and more it's it's uh, it's it 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 lessen is power within us for sure. So what are the characteristics of the dark side? Uh, so yeah, it's the depth for me. It's really it's secretive. Somehow it always have a plan, but it's hidden, and then that's how we can understand our own dark side, right? It's sleeping in the subconscious. It's within us. It can be driving our day to day, but we're not aware of it until like there's a big catalyst, and then until like we do a healing and come into the surface, and we're like, oh my god, this was within me all that time. We don't realize it, right? So it's really that the dark side. It's somehow it has its own agenda. It feels like quiet, comes out of nowhere, and but the depth of the dark side here on Earth is with Elon Musk, um, is what we call fake light. Fake light is the best example of the dark side. Fake light is like beings or energies within us that's gonna portray themselves as saviors or doing the good for humanities and things like that. But they're doing all this to inflate their ego, and then the ego is so inflated that it can go to some extent of doing some deals that are under the table with some type of people that are like sketchy, and you can feel in their energy, like I'm sure like now you're attuned, but like the dark side, like they have some traits in their face where like the eyes are very puffy. They're like it doesn't feel like young. It feels always like some kind of like crispy and contracted, because it's all those lower energy emotions of like overwhelm and then controlling, and so it's everything is tight. Their heart is tight, and then so yeah, subconsciously we're all aware of it, but we're we're consciously we're always like somehow l- forget about following our intuition, and then we see that beautiful being that is like, yes, saving the humanity, bringing humanity on Mars and all those things, right? So we need to understand that everything we see outside, like all those people in Hollywood, all those like billionaires and things like that, they're just a reflection of our inner dark side. So everything we see in them, it's just a mirror. So whatever we don't like in those people, we can start journaling and reflecting. Okay, actually, maybe I have a part of this or a part of that, and then slowly we can start accepting that somehow those people are helping, because the dark side is always helping the light side, because in between the two there's always something as a whole, right? There's the whole, there's God. So the best example is the pandemic, that uh, we can debate that it was like planned by the dark side and so on, and all those things. But one thing for sure is it helped a lot of people waking up, starting to meditate, going within. A lot of like new subscriber like subscribe to Gaia.com, that so they like things like that, like people started consuming more and more spirituality, and and it's always going to be the case. And it's like within us is the same. It's like we go through a harsh like crisis or whatever, and then if we find a way to overcome it, we're like, we grow out of it, right? It's the hero journey. We go down the abyss, and then after that we're like, oh, we're transformed. So the dark side is always going to help push the light side to their next level. So so we need to be grateful for those dark beings. There's about 8 to 10% of beings in the universe that are service to self. Um, on the above density on Earth, I'm not sure, but like people like Elon Musk, even though that he's self-centered, service to self, like saying things that, yeah, he's doing this for humanity, all those things. One thing for sure is that uh, all the technology that he's bringing up, and then we can debate this also, how like the U.S. government had like bigger technology already, and they've been hiding this from us. But like somehow, like, yeah, it's helping humanity like build a space force, and start like connecting with other beings and things like that. So we don't know where all this is gonna go, but one thing for sure is there's always a plan behind the dark side plan, and it's always God plan. So keep this in mind, and all those things that you see outside, and they're gonna be coming like in the future also, like with other type of crazy plan. Well, it's just a reflection, right? And so the best way is to, yes, we need to transmute our dark side, but at the foundation is accepting our dark side, being grateful for our dark side. So I hope this vortex helps you with that. And yes, make sure to clean your energy before and after, and you are protected. There's nothing to worry about. I can't wait to hear about your experience. Thank you so much.